Welcome to a football show, Monday edition. Paul Kuharsky, paulkuharsky.com. I am Braden Gall. And best laid plans, PK. We were set to have a long show about the progress of this roster and this team and the quarterback and the defense and the linebackers and all this stuff. And I assume we'll still touch on some of those things. But Ward and Jeffery Simmons got into a little skirmish, a little minor dust up on Monday at practice. So we will be here to break it all down. You're going to hear from Jarvis Brownlee, who I thought had really great thoughts on the incident after practice. What does it actually mean, PK? What does it mean? Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon. I am well. I don't think it means a ton, but I don't think it's insignificant that the star defender and the number one pick in the draft are involved in shoving each other either.
Not the first time either that it has happened so far in training camp. We will get to all of that, and we're going to play the Jarvis Brownlee clip after practice today as well. He didn't have a great day at practice, but we'll get into all of that. The quarterback, that is. It was a very hot, very closed, and very calm day until the skirmish at the end. We are brought to you, of course, by Sinkers Beverages and Shotgun Willie's Barbecue. Sinkers Beverages, 4-time liquor store of the year. Right there on Gallatin, very accessible by Briley Parkway, very accessible in East Nashville, accessible on 65. Shotgun Willie's, frankly, is as well. Both are less than 10 minutes from Nissan Stadium. And if you would like to have that booze delivered directly to your house, because that is the responsible way to consume alcohol, then obviously sign up, check Uber Eats, and you can search Sinkers Beverages, and they will send the booze directly to your house. If you'd like to get into the comment section like Trevor, please do so on the YouTube channel there. You can also get involved on Twitter and Facebook, although I'm not going to lie, PK. I cannot remember the last time I logged into Facebook. So,
hurtful.
Yeah, I mean, it is. There you go. Make sure
I post my content regularly on Facebook. Check it out.
I'm sure Zuck is damaged by all of this. They did win a game against the Falcons, so we will get into that. Seems like there's a crazy linebacker competition as well. Make sure you check out the Hot Read podcast. We sort of relaunched last week with James Foster, who you can catch his writing over at paulkuharsky.com. And he and I are going to do that show for a little while. We have another host that's coming on. We're going to have a couple of other names come on to the show as well. So it's going to kind of unfold over the course of the season, but it's going to be heavy on film study. We broke down every single throw that Cam Ward made against Tampa Bay. We'll come back this week and we'll analyze his performance against Atlanta as well. So a lot more film stuff coming on the YouTube page. So please subscribe, thumbs up, notifications turned on, et cetera, et cetera. And if you want to get involved in the comments, please do so. We would love to have your questions coming off of game number 2 and a practice today. We got practice on Tuesday, practice on Wednesday, and then they're off. And then the Vikings in the final preseason game. And that'll be the last time we see them practice, PK, for about 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So
presumably. Don't know exactly the plan next week, but it should be getting shut down.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, let's go right to today's practice. And what took place was at the end of what was a very hot and relatively calm day. No fans, of course, were out there. And honestly, I'd say half the media weren't there, to be honest. And it was a fairly quiet day. In fact, Brian Callahan, I think, moved a speaker to behind his team offensive unit, I think, to sort of jack up, give him a little challenge, from an audio standpoint, and to maybe jack up the energy a little bit. Well, as they work through team near the end of an hour and a half long practice, they get to the low red zone. Not a great day of practice for the quarterback, Cam Ward, and the offense in general. And at the end of this, he completes a pass in the left corner of the end zone.
Missed two or three. Defense was feeling good.
Yeah. And
Chestnut ran into the right corner, and I think Latham handled Simmons pretty aggressively on that snap, which then set the scene. Okay. Ridley across the back left of the end zone, covered by Brownlee. Very nice throw, very nice catch.
Very nice play.
Touchdown in the back left corner. Ridley's coming back towards the middle of the end zone to celebrate with Cam. Simmons is in the middle.
Ridley throws like all the Titans receivers tend to do. They throw the football sky high, and they're hooting and hollering as they like to do, as all football players like to do. And as Simmons is sort of not facing Cam, he is facing sort of Ridley and the pile of people that are kind of milling about in the end zone. It appears, and this is what I saw, so I'm just saying what I saw here, is that Cam kind of gives him a shove in the back. And as he's backing away from Simmons, he's giving him a little motion, like pointing at him and kind of giving him a motion, which is not taken well in the moment by Simmons, who then goes open-handed, 2 hands pretty hard. It doesn't take much for Jeffery Simmons to push somebody pretty hard. 2 hands to the face of Cam Ward. It was not a punch, and it didn't look like it was intended to be malicious in any way, but he definitely went back at him pretty hard, hits him in the face. Cam there's a lot of face mask grabbing at that point. The benches don't fully clear, but it's close. It is a massive, like 50-person amoeba of bodies and tangled this and tangled that and helmets here, and nothing else really happened. They pull it all apart and they go back to finishing practice, which did not last much longer. Callahan had some words with the team afterward. Couldn't hear what they were saying. I don't know if you heard what he was saying either. It was a little far away for us. And then when we came off the field, I think you asked this question actually.
Well, there was some extended screaming during field clearing. Calvin Ridley most audible in that.
And honestly, I think Arden Key and Jaheed Ward were also screaming coming off the field after. It's like after running, and then after the coach sits them all down, they're all on a knee, and then they kind of get up to try to break away and kind of move about their day. But it seems like the defense needed to do some like planking or something. That's what it looked like.
Push up.
And there's a bunch of chat, and there's a bunch of screaming and yelling, and it is what it is. Like, it's just a football practice at that point. You asked, do you want to go ahead and set up the question here for Jarvis?
Yeah, I mean, I think I asked Jarvis something along the lines of, could he talk us through the emotions that were going on there and what of the quarterback being in the middle of it?
And here was his answer.
You never want to see your quarterback in the middle of those type of things, but when it do happens, it just shows you the level of dog he got in him. He ain't going to take nothing. It shows you how much he cares about his offense, how much he cares about winning. And same goes for both sides of the ball with Jeff and him. You get that same attitude, that same confidence, that same edge each and every day out of those two guys. They never change. So that's what you expect. But when it does happen with our quarterback, we try to break it up as soon as possible, fix it as soon as possible. But for me, I feel like it's a great thing. When you got great teams, man, brothers fight. And at the end of the day, as long as we all got each other back, we all connected, we all got that bond, and we all got that same connection where we going to fight for one another, then that's the most important thing at the end of the day.
All right, there you go, Jarvis. I thought that was a pretty good answer by Jarvis.
Yeah, very good answer. Here's my take on the whole thing. Look, Cam maybe goes a little far, initiating contact or whatever. Jeff turns around, sees who it is, and has to say something like, if you weren't wearing that red jersey, I would F you up. But the red jersey is there for a reason. You are not allowed to touch the red jersey. Yeah, and Jeff thinks he's the franchise, but he's not. The red jersey is the franchise for the time being. Whether it's deserved or not, we'll find out. But you don't mess with the guy in the red jersey, period. No exceptions, no Jeff carve out, no if he shoves me in the back carve out, no carve out. You don't mess with the guy in the red jersey. And that would have gone
very
for
Seinfeld of you, by the way. Like, there's no carve out, no carve out.
And that would have been the case, quite frankly, if it was Brandon Allen, if it was Trevor Siemian, if it was Tim Boyle. I know people wouldn't care if it was them, but the code, that's the code. And quite frankly,
code red.
And I don't know what Brian Callahan had to say, and it was very close to it, but that's the second year in a row that Brian Callahan had an occasion, which I think was throw the guy out of practice worthy, and he didn't do it. And again, it was playful and all of that. Are you supposed to shove the guy in the red jersey or not? You're not. And how there's not a consequence for that, I'm a little confused. I don't think it's a federal issue. I don't think it's a big deal. But I think if you want the message to be to everybody else on your defense that you're not supposed to do it, and your number one guy does it, I'm just confused by the messages you're sending.
All right, I love this topic because there's parts of what you're saying I totally agree with. There's little parts I maybe don't agree with. I think there's some nuance involved in all of this. Number one, with what Brownlee had to say, I think the Tennessee Titans will be really well served if the two most vocal alpha males on this team are Jeffery Simmons and Cam Ward. I think the team would benefit from there being clear leadership and a tip of the spear on offense for the first time since Derrick Henry, and on defense with Jeffery Simmons becoming more of that persona, hopefully in all elements of the team. We don't know if that's happening or not. I feel like he's a slightly different player off the field, but I haven't had, when I asked him, I didn't ask the right way, and he didn't give me the answer I needed. So I still have to do some more digging on that, whether he's sort of in a different place mentally or not. So I think number one, I think I agree with what Brownlee is sort of saying there, which he couches it, right? Which he's saying, you never really want the quarterback to be involved in that, but it shows you a lot about who he is and what he cares about. Same thing with Simmons, and it's great that at this stage we know that they got each other's backs, and it seems like there's nothing personal here. It does not feel like it's a problem between Jeffery Simmons and Cam Ward. This is football practice, right? So I think on the merits of the actual debate or the actual like altercation, I think it's almost all good here. I think you want Cam Ward being the alpha, and you want Jeffery Simmons being the alpha. I didn't even know this, but you had said, hey, did you there's an Instagram post from Jeff Simmons that has them fishing like 3 weeks ago. So I don't think there's any concern between the two of them. That's just football practice in my boat. What I'm curious about, though, is precedent around the red jersey thing. And if he doesn't hit him in the face, I don't think I have a problem with this. Because after the play, if he comes and pushes me, I can push him back. Because you can't push somebody expecting there to be nothing happening.
If it's not the
because
quarterback,
I'm wearing the red jersey. Like,
if it's
that's
not the quarterback, you could push him back.
I don't like the face. I think the shot to the face is the problem. So is there precedent around pushing after a play that's not a full tackle? Like it's in my book, it's not hitting the guy in the red jersey. That's not what this is.
Well, obviously the red jersey is number one to not hit him in the play. I think it goes unspoken that you don't hit him outside of the play. I mean, that comes before not hitting him in the play. Ed Henry there, put him up. What would have happened if Ward fell backwards and got hurt after the shove? This would have been a national scandal.
I agree with that. Now, does he, like, again, to be fair, this was not Simmons, like, grabbing him by the helmet and jerking him around and throwing him to the ground. This is like a boom. This is like a get off me, bro, kind of thing. Like, it's like, hey, dude, get off me. And Cam had just done the same thing to Simmons in the back, which, again, is also kind of a no-no. You don't push people in the back. You know what I mean? Like, so
I'm not absolving Cam Ward. Cam Ward's got no record of reckless behavior the way Simmons does. And Cam Ward's not a defensive tackle.
Let me ask you this then. What is the ultimate negative result? Because one of the comments here, and I don't know how to say your name here. 01. Punishment will just belabor the incident, need to allow them space to reconcile and move on stronger without sanctions to spotlight it. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but that's also not how you parent.
Well,
like, you don't want
sanction will be behind the scenes. There's not going to be
right.
any.
Right. Some media members made it seem like Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph level of fighting. No, that ain't.
Yeah, a lot of media members don't understand football fights, football practice fights. They just don't. They're young and naive.
Just the two guys I want to hear from: to hit the quarterback or not to hit the quarterback. That is the question. So I guess maybe this is what's important here. What are the ramifications of not kicking Simmons out of 10 minutes of practice, 15 minutes of practice?
I just think it sends a Simmons runs the show here message.
Which was
also sent last. Yes, I don't want Simmons fishing with Ward personally. I mean, you can't control that. They're friends and everything. But Jeff Simmons' leadership is a lot of blowhardness and falseness. And I want Cam Ward to be real. I don't want Cam Ward to learn leadership from Jeff Simmons. So when I drove home today, I was thinking, well, I'd put this in the trade Simmons when things aren't going well column. Because I don't want Cam Ward learning from Jeff Simmons.
Okay, so
I want to condense Jeffery Simmons' leadership going into this season. And yeah, I have beef with Jeffery Simmons. I don't like the way he handles himself. I think he's been overblown as a leader on this team, and I don't think it's been healthy for this team. But I think part of what the team wanted to do, not me, the team, was by bringing in some of the people they brought in, shrink his leadership to defensive line instead of expand it from defense to team to Nashville to continue to expand it. It needs to contract. And if it continues to expand, or if it's contagious or whatever, and this team is 1-4, 2-5, whatever, as the trade deadline approaches, with a new contract request coming, with a big new agency hired, I think they'd be better to get what they could and move on and let new leadership blossom.
Ed says, does it count as a quarterback hit? The pass rush needs all the help they can get. Well done, Ed. I guess I'm trying not to read too much into two guys that like to go after each other, that have a decent relationship, getting a little heated on a hot practice at the end of it when you're talking a little shit to each other.
I'm not making.
No, I know.
I just put a little check mark in that column. I don't care about it in the big picture, but I don't think there's that much value in it. I don't think there's that much value in Jeff spouting off all the time. I think it's showmanship. I think for other guys, I think when Arden Key's doing it, it's part of Arden Key's personality, and Calvin Ridley. I think Jeff, when he showed up for mini camp, decided I'm putting on a performance today.
All right, so here's what the only thing, I don't necessarily disagree with your analysis of Jeffery Simmons up until the start of this camp, let's say. And that is, do we not have to allow him the space to also evolve and change? And granted, he has to prove that. He's got to show that. He came in with a new body. I have picked up on a slightly different mentality from him, but again, I have not asked him specifically about that, so I need to do that. I'm just saying, like,
he's changed.
We have to allow.
He changed after he spit on dude from Baltimore. He said he changed or denied that he fought with people in the tunnel in Buffalo. I mean, he changed after he fought with Andrew Rising last year. And the thing, he's always changing. He's always evolving. He's gotten so much better. He doesn't have those incidents anymore, right?
Andrew.
That's his name.
No, I know. Sorry, that's a great line there. Are you talking about when he got mad about the
Rec Rod calls him?
You mad about that? You mad about this? Is like when he got mad at Buck for describing the fight in preseason practice last year.
He cursed him out in front of a bunch of Make-A-Wish kids.
It's not a great idea. So again, I don't think so. I don't want, and I'm seeing Coach Wills make jokes here about Paul hating Jeff, that he's not evolved. The question is just how much of a new person, a new version, a new evolution are we allowing them to be? And I'm not saying you're not. I think there is. He's got to prove that, I think, which so far I don't have a problem with. But ultimately, the question is does an incident like this actually make a difference one way or the other in his story, in terms of, like, he has made progress, he is evolving, he's not a good leader, he's not the past story and the future story. I'm unsure how much this actually matters to each of them. I think the bigger takeaway is that you might have an alpha male playing quarterback. Like, I think that's maybe the most important thing here, is that you got a dude that's going to run the ship playing quarterback, which is kind of what you want out of that guy in general. Where Levis and Tannehill, they were nice guys and people liked them. They were not the dog, right? Like, they were not the dude that was out there pushing the team. That was
there are ways to show you the dog that don't involve pushing. Let's not absolve Cam Ward. I want to make that clear. What he did was dumb here too, to instigate the thing. Now, he's got a certain level of built-in protection that should have served him better, but he shouldn't abuse that level of protection by starting what he started.
That's like my littlest daughter picking on my big daughter, my older daughter, like in front of me, knowing that I'm going to stop the fight because the big daughter can't hit the little daughter. Like, she can't. That's manipulating your power there to some degree. So anyway, I thought Brownlee's answer was actually the best part of the entire thing, which is just sort of call it what it is. We don't want this to happen. We don't want to see the quarterback in the middle of this, but I don't mind what I saw, right? Like, I don't mind what it tells us about who they are, at least Cam. On the other side, I'm willing to give Jeffery Simmons some of the season to show us if there is, in fact, any progress or not. And then at that point, if not, we'll see. And if he has, great. You think he's going to get traded if they're bad in the middle of the season?
Well, I do think there's a realistic chance of him getting traded if they're bad in the middle of the season, because big contract stuff is coming. And I don't know if they are in position to want to give him big money. Again, it depends on how he's playing and how his health is and all of that. Yeah. Josh F has a good.
I want to. Yeah, this is good here. Josh says, can't praise Cam's leadership as being 100% real when he says the wide receiver group is top 10 in the league either, though. Can I jump on this first real fast? So here's my thing on this. Their athletes know what gets out there. They're getting smarter and smarter and smarter about how they can communicate directly with people, fans, media, social media, whatever. Cam is really savvy about the playing video games and saying that so and so is the top 5 receiver. Like that is not. It's not. How do I put this? I don't think he even means it, but he knows how to market. He knows how to get clicks. He knows how to drive interest and engagement. And I'm saying that as a positive because when you are a star athlete, you have to. There's two different. You have to go up a notch if you want to become the maximum version of yourself. Like you can't just be the great player in between the whistles. There's more to it. AJ Brown is a guy who just gets it, right? He just kind of understands how the gravitational force of being a great athlete works. I don't think to me those are two separate things. His leadership is how he works every day. It's the example he sets. It's how he communicates with people. It's how he treats people. I think all that stuff is what makes you a great leader. I think being really smart on how to manipulate Twitter and Twitch and Instagram and YouTube is totally different. And I don't think they are connected. That's my opinion.
I think that's part of his leadership is everybody's talking about those guys are bad. And even the undercurrent from inside the administration maybe is, hey, patience. We know we need time. We can't get too excited. We're trying to keep the fan base realistic. And so he says, well, I can be the guy who pumps up everybody's tires. And I'm not going to let my guys hear that too much. I'm going to give them some juice.
Right.
I think it's I don't know if there's a grand plan to it, but I think he's definitely saying I'm going to tell these guys they're great.
Yeah. Jordan says athletes are delusional and hyperbolic about their abilities and supporting cast, just like we are as fans. I don't think that's what he's being. I don't think he's being delusional. He might be being hyperbolic on purpose, but I think he's pumping up purpose. Yeah, I think he's pumping up his guys for sure, but I don't think he actually. I don't think he thinks Tony Pollard is a top 5 running back in the NFL.
Well, I do wonder, I don't know how much of an NFL fan he is. I don't know if he knows exactly where the Titans are coming from. I mean, he knows they had the number 1 pick, so he knows they weren't great. But I don't know if he knows how bad the Titans were, exactly how bad the Titans were last year.
Well, and you just alluded to something about the front office sort of continually downplaying this. And this is sort of we could get into what happened at practice today outside of this one incident or the game against Atlanta, which seems to be at least a little bit important because Cam I don't think Cam was better. I don't know if he was worse against Atlanta, but I don't think he was better. And I think ultimately one of the things we need to sort of maybe put a stake in the ground and re-emphasize here is that this is not a good football team. This is not the depth is a problem. The pass rush is real bad. If Snead's not playing, the cornerback room has got questions.
And if Snead is playing, we have no idea if he's going to be any good.
This is not a good football team. Now, are they as bad as last year? I think they're better. But a lot of that might hinge on the quarterback being productive enough to win some games. The front office is doing nothing to dissuade us of that opinion.
No. Nobody around the team outside of players being prideful is doing anything to dissuade us of that. Their performance isn't doing anything to dissuade us of that. And I think 6-week check-in, maybe, where we start to see some developmental guys and how they're developing is something. But I don't. Between the schedule and the progress of those developmental guys right now, I think it's a mistake to be particularly hopeful.
I tend to agree. The only thing I'd be hopeful about is excited about young players because those seem to be among the better players the last 2 draft classes, and that the division is there's some wins in the division that you can grab. I mean, I think those are the 2 big ones you hang your hat on. K. Dodd says it's still a Titans win Monday. Braden, there you go. Snead is a clipboard cornerback at this point, says Jabari. Good to see all you guys, by the way, in the comments. Thumbs up, notifications turned on, Sinkers Beverages, Shotgun Willie's Barbecue. Did you see progress against Atlanta in Cam's second, we'll call it quarter of action?
I thought it was a little overplayed. I mean, Jefferson's got to make that play, and that was a great throw, so I like that. The first ball to Io Manor, nice throw and great yak. He placed 1 or 2 where they had to be placed, but I thought he was inaccurate. A couple times the Io Manor high and wide, which Blake Bedingfield, clearly connected to footwork. I thought, he was more inaccurate than I would have liked to have seen. People saying cut Van Jefferson, I think really
all right, we'll get to
don't
this.
understand what this team is doing in terms of having like veterans who can do certain things in front of the kids who they think will be able to do those things better in time, but probably are not ready. And I think Isle Manor is not all the way ready. And even if you were to put him, and I wouldn't object to them starting him on opening day, but having Van Jefferson as an alternative to him is not a bad thing for a team that's not deep. If you cut Van Jefferson, who are you replacing him with?
Alec Isle Manor is the
but who are you replacing him with on the roster?
Prochet, probably. No,
Prochet is a slot. Is more of a slot. He's not an outside guy, and I don't know that he's better than Van Jefferson. I don't think he is.
No, I don't think he is either. I'm saying if you just cut him for the point of this exercise, cut Van Jefferson, which they're not going to do. And the obsession with Van Jefferson is quite comical to me.
Over because
of a couple drops. That was an impossible catch, by the way. He should have made it.
It was not an impossible.
He should have made it, but that is one of the most difficult catches as an all-region receiver in Middle Tennessee, PK. That is one of the most, like when that ball is coming in at a rope like that, which it could have been a little softer, but it was a great throw. So no hate for Cam. That when the ball disappears from your eyes to your hands, it's one of the hardest catches you can make. So there's a split second where your eyes are here and your hands are here, and the ball you can't see the ball. It disappears.
I disagree with Brian Callahan that there was not an effort question on that play. I've watched it multiple times, as everybody has, and I think about 6 strides before the arrival of the ball, he took a stride where he slowed down. I don't know if he thought that the ball just wasn't going to get there or what. Now, he's also slower than I thought, because the last 10 strides there, he's running out of gas or he just doesn't have it. And I thought he's faster than that, and he's looked faster than that regularly at practice. But if you watch his last 10 strides there and tell me he is going as hard as he can, okay, I'm really disappointed in what as hard as he can is.
I already think we're down the Van Jefferson rabbit hole. That's not really all that relevant to the Titans season, because he's not getting
about that play.
He's not getting cut. And he is still better than probably half of the receivers on the active roster. He is a professional, dependable player that you can put into almost any position if anyone else gets hurt, that you know is going to be where he's supposed to be on most plays. He knows the playbook. That is a player you have to have on your team. And to suggest that Prochet or even Oliver might be better than him by the end of the year.
Yeah.
But Isle Manor, DK, none of these guys are better than him right now. I think Isle Manor might be better than him sooner than that because I really like that player. It is not a standard catch. It is a catch that a professional receiver has to make. I am not disagreeing with that, but that is a rope of a pass. Now, here's the thing about the effort. He was already behind the defense. So if you're behind the defense and you turn to look for the pass,
keep running.
You got to run hard. I get it. I'm just saying that catch is a more difficult catch than people are, and Cam put it on a rope, whereas that play deserves a little bit more loft. That's all. Still a great throw.
XR1 is saying that he's inaccurate in the right spots with no pass breakups. Inaccurate in the right spot. So you're saying every pass that he misses, he should miss, that a guy doesn't have a chance to catch it because it's over his head? But hooray, nobody could break it up? I mean, when he's throwing 2 over Isle Manor's head, high and wide, it should be lower and more central so he could catch it. The receiver was open.
If you're talking about the slot fade there down the left sideline for Isle Manor, where he kind of puts it over the top, that is where you want to miss. So if you're talking about the progress Cam makes, you just don't want to miss short and inside on that. So if you're going to miss long and outside, that's the first throw. The next time you run that route and make that throw, it needs to be a little bit better. There's no question about that. I
just want him to put it where the guy can catch it, like he did with the Jefferson ball.
I agree.
It was so forgiving there. Like, I mean, the receiver's open. He's got time. Make the throw. Oh, that's inaccurate in the right spot. That's good. I mean, what is your expectation for the number 1 pick in the draft? Jackson Dart is throwing for 167 yards. Why can't? Against what?
All right. Okay.
Against what? I mean, why is the expectation so forgiving?
I'm not being forgiving.
I'm giving the guy time and everything, but on that play, should hit that throw.
Okay. All right. there's a lot of questions in here, so I want to get to all the comments here. First of all, is this the Sinkers podcast? How do I find this later to listen to? Yes, that is exactly what this is. You can search a football show everywhere you get your podcasts. It's a football show. 440 Sports has a channel. It's got all of our shows in there as well, so you can check all of that out. If you're listening on the podcast app of choice, 5 stars. If you do not give us 5 stars, you are a hater. Chig is doing that disappear in September and October thing. I don't know about that, but he did not make any plays, I don't think, today in practice. I think there might have been one over the middle that I could recall, but I don't have 85 written down here a lot. I don't have a lot of 85.
Drop.
He did
back-to-back drops. Chim and Chig, the Chim and Chig drop show.
All right, so let the kids play, says K Dodd. This is not an impossible catch at all. I hear what you're saying. Professionals need to make the catch. There's no question about that. So the issue is what. Here we go. This is from Race School. The issue is more what sounded like him blaming Ward for what was objectively a drop. There you go. That's maybe
I didn't like that either, and that was conveyed by Cam, not by Jefferson, who, look, guys are out of the game, clean up and get out of there early. I wasn't there, but the reporters there told me he wasn't anywhere to be found. So, that's a combination of timing and unavailability.
A large contingent of the keep Restrepo crowd is also the cut Van Jefferson crowd. I don't think it's a large contingent, Diamond. I think it's all of them.
Well, here's a big problem.
Same group.
They don't play the same position. So cutting Jefferson opens up nothing for Restrepo,
right.
Because it doesn't get rid of Chim, it doesn't get rid of Lockett, and it doesn't get rid of Prochet. 3 guys are playing slot ahead of Restrepo. So cut Jefferson and watch 3 guys, 2.5 guys who are still ahead of Restrepo inside. I don't know why the Restrepo people aren't getting that Restrepo isn't good. Like, maybe you adjust your thinking and realize he's not playing because he's not doing anything.
Jason says, I have no idea if they should cut Van Jefferson, but the idea isn't a sin. The guy has done absolutely nothing in his career to justify it being a lot. I would argue a 50-catch, 800-yard, 18 yards per reception, 6 touchdown season is a lot more than anyone else has done.
That was a long time ago, however.
I agree, but he's been better in camp. He has more experience in the NFL by a large margin than the players that people want on the team.
Well, look, he's part of their plan, and they see things in him that they think they can resurrect and get out of him. And you're not seeing all the stuff behind the scenes that he's doing and that they're seeing and planning.
There you go. Van was just doing his Traylon impersonation. Relax. There's a lot of anti-Van Jefferson opinions here.
It's too much.
Curious of your opinion of Warner's breakdown of play design on that play and others preseason and play call is vanilla, or is there anything to Callahan's play design? When I was looking at film with James last week, I thought there was a lot of good stuff that they were putting out for Cam in that first drive against Tampa.
Well, I watched Warner's breakdown, and it was fascinating, and I don't have any problem with what Warner wanted to see done there, but I think there are multiple ways to do it, and I think the Titans were satisfied with what Chim ran out of the slot there. They wound up with a ball that was catchable for Jefferson off of the over route that he ran.
Yeah. So
if he doesn't drop the ball, we're not breaking down the play. Was it as clean maybe as it could have been? No. But are those guys who were maybe closer to the play than they would have been in Warner's scenario the reason the play didn't work? No, the reason the play didn't work is because Jefferson didn't catch it.
Yeah, right, exactly. There's a lot of other stuff to get to here. Corner, running back, receiver. I guess we've covered receiver, I suppose, at this point. Offensive line, we can get into linebacker. That seems like a big one now with Cedric Gray making a bunch of plays after getting the start over James Williams very quickly after Williams got his first start. Make sure you check out Singer's Beverages. Make sure you check out Shotgun Willie's Barbecue, the best brisket in the city, award-winning. Open Wednesday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Mechanical Bull in the only barbecue joint with a mechanical bull. What did I say? Mechanical. You've got award-winning side items, award-winning dessert, and a parking lot that is free. So less than 10 minutes from downtown. Make sure you check out all things Shotgun Willie's Barbecue. You want to talk linebacker real fast?
Sure.
So obviously what I think here was what I kind of said on the hot read, and please go check out that show. The fact that Cedric Gray, who was largely behind James Williams every practice for the entire length of the training camp, immediately is put in following James Williams' first game as a starter, I think is notable. I don't think it tells us everything. They could be giving them both a chance, but I think it's notable. And that he made a bunch of plays, in particular on the blitz where he gets the sack. He does intercept a pass. I think you might have been standing there, maybe not, when Corey Curtis and I were talking with Denard Wilson before practice today, and apparently the sideline for the Titans was told that call that was not a penalty, that the refs got the call wrong on that, supposedly. So he made some plays. He still has flaws. He has better run fits, I think. I think he's more versatile in pass coverage than James Williams. He's not as good in space the way Williams is when he tracks down a running back to the corner. I think they have a real debate here between these two.
I do too. I don't know if it matters that much. I mean, they are a bit different. Barton's pretty good in space, so maybe if you want to take a little of the line of scrimmage pressure off of Barton, Gray's your guy. Maybe if you want to be better overall in space, Williams is your guy. I think it's weird the way that they've done it, that they didn't let them compete early and that Williams owned it for 2.5 or 3 weeks or however long it was. I think Williams probably still has a leg up, but that it's not a closed door by any means. And so, hey, look, a little intrigue. It's
an actual position battle.
About time something is to be wrestled one way or the other.
Gray was touted as a coverage backer coming out of college. I agree. Yeah. He was lost in his only couple of coverages against Tampa. He was much better against Atlanta, which sometimes you just need reps and you need to get out there. Williams seemed a little, this is from Ray School, Williams seemed a little lost on some of the zone schemes. I think pass coverage for him, I think he gets lost in the dirty areas.
Yes. Like going to the sidelines, he's pretty good.
To me, he's like a true weak side 4-3 old school backer, where you're just the strong side guy takes on the blocker, the middle linebacker kind of has the job to blow up the play, and the weak side guy cleans it all up. And that is sort of an old school way of looking at linebacking, and I think he's a very good old school weak side linebacker. He's better than Gray at getting to the edge, getting to the corner, and bringing people down in space. But Gray's run fits are way better. He's shifty, and he slides, and he kind of gets into the gaps where he's supposed to be much better than Williams does. And so he's got the rangy arms, and Williams can push people off of him, and he should be able to shed blockers easier. I think he's got to get there. The game needs to slow down for him inside the box more for James Williams. So we'll see. It's a legitimate battle, though.
I think
that is for sure. And Gray had that's as good a game as you could have if you're fighting for a roster spot or a starting spot there with Cedric Gray. By the way, I don't mean to go back to Van Jefferson here, but Jason says in the last 4 seasons, Van Jefferson has averaged 170 yards a season. That is factually untrue. I don't know what you're talking about. His average season is 30 catches, 414 yards, and 3 touchdowns in the last 4 seasons.
Also,
so I don't know what you're talking
we
about.
Understand that he's a reclamation project. They are allowed to have a reclamation project. Now, does he turn into something? We don't know. But that's what they're counting on. They looked at him, saw the kinds of things he did.
He's a placeholder.
Projected their offense and said, this guy can do some things for us that we need, considering who we're going to have.
I think he is a placeholder for Io Manor until he's ready, and I think Io Manor could be ready soon. And honestly, when I talk about the players that I'm most excited about, it is Gunnar Helm and Alec Io Manor. Those are the 2 players I would be most excited about on offense for the Titans from this young class. Femi Oladejo still he's very athletic. He's a lot of energy, but he does not make a lot of plays yet.
Io Manor failed to show sufficient toughness in the first day of the practice in Atlanta, and I fear that's an area where he could be exposed to need more growth.
Seasoning.
Yeah. And he admitted that he was not good in that department. So we will see what happens with him. But I like him too. And I think he's the most likely of the receivers to be ready soonest. But what the timetable is, I don't know.
001 says, where's DK drafted 2 rounds higher? He wasn't drafted 2 rounds higher. I think he was drafted like 30 picks higher, 26 picks higher. They're both 4th round picks. And they traded up to get Iomanner. They just drafted DK at the top of the 4th round, I believe. So there you go with the receiving core. Again, Helm looks like he caught another touchdown today in practice along the back line of the end zone. He made a couple of nice plays in the game. It's going to take some time. I talked to him after practice. As expected, he said, hey, everything's slowing down. I'm starting to play a lot faster. I don't have to think about my assignments anymore. I can kind of start to execute them. So I think Gunnar Helm, again, it's going to take time for these young players, but I think there should be a lot of excitement around this draft class. I would hope. Now, if Winston could be out there, that will be great.
Yeah, and we don't know what his timetable is, but the thing about guys missing a lot of camp as rookies is it takes a lot for them to get caught up and back, and it'll probably take a good amount of time for Winston.
All right, what are you looking forward to this week? Anything in practice that you think is more? I mean, offensive line, cornerback. I know Cushenberry's off PUP list, which is good.
Yeah, it took a couple snaps at the beginning of most of the team period, so that's a good step forward. I think they gauge how he feels tomorrow and what kind of mileage he put on, and go from there. A lot of questions in here about the kicker and the punter. Hecker has not been great. To me, the question about Sly, and he had the missed extra point, which is obviously terrible. But, any kicker you're getting right now is coming with problems. So you're replacing problems with problems. He's got a big leg. So you need him to be accurate from 40 in, 50 in, and then give you a shot beyond that. I think it's about tightness. How's he doing pressure moments? And you don't really get to see pressure moments until regular season game. I think he's on the roster, and then I think it's a question of does he blow it or not? And if he blows it, are you shopping? And then are you in one of those seasons where is the first guy you get a solution, or are you looking for a second guy and a third guy? We've seen that.
Yeah, the entire we've seen that recently. It was a suck-up year, right? Wasn't it one of those years where he got hurt or something like that? How the heck did the Ravens find their new kicker? Let's see here. So this is an interesting question. Laws says, Braden, do you still hold it against Cam Ward that he was not a blue-chip 5-star recruit coming out of high school, or does he look like a number 1 pick now that you've seen him?
Yeah, Braden. Do you still hold it against him?
Number 1, I have never held a high school recruit's star ranking for or against them. I do think that pedigree that plays out based on production is worth noting. Peter Skoronski was the number 1 offensive lineman, I think, in that draft class. Was he not? Number 2, maybe?
You're asking me about high school rankings?
No. In the draft class.
Oh, yeah, one of them.
I think he was 1 or 2, picked 11th, and I want to say it was certainly the highest rated interior offensive lineman, like full stop. He was the highest rated number 1 offensive lineman coming out of high school in the entire country. And what I like is a player that is clearly very talented, that builds a sort of track record or resume for himself, and then does it again in college and says, all right, I was all of those things, and now I'm drafted by the NFL. And oh, by the way, Peter Skoronski might be the most improved player on the team this year. So what I like is pedigree proving itself out over time. That's more of a pro angle. I could not care less where Cam Ward was rated. That's not a part of my evaluation. I have concerns, or I had concerns, and all the concerns I have about Cam Ward being a number 1 overall pick are the same things I would say today. He's got great confidence. He's got a great poise and maturity and leadership. He's got a really nice arm and release. He's got some footwork, and he tries to extend plays too much. He can be overly confident. It's all the same. My opinion of Cam Ward has not really changed. I think there's a 70% chance he's a really good player. And I think it's a low percentage chance that he is an elite player. I don't think he is Joe Burrow or Peyton Manning or any of these guys that are considered number 1 overall picks. I just think that this was a bad year. He was the best of those options. Do I think the Titans should have taken the Giants offer? I might still think that. But that's not an anti-Cam take. That's more of a pro, you're not ready to build take yet, if anything. So my opinion on Cam, I don't think it's really changed all that much. I'm more impressed with like the person that he is. But we knew a lot of this stuff about him. When they got to know him in the combine in February, that's when they kind of fell in love with the person. So
go to Ed Henry here. Knocking on wood, but can we say the staff's conditioning program has fared way better than Vrabel's due to the reduction in soft tissue injuries? I guess you can. I think you can also say they have fewer injury-prone guys.
I think both of those things can be true. Two things can be true. Let's not talk about NPF's pedigree. He didn't do it in college. That's the point. Number 1 recruit, didn't do it in college, got drafted in the 3rd round. James Williams, number 1 safety in college, wasn't the number 1 safety in college, didn't get drafted more than the 7th round. You know who did deliver on his pedigree? J.C. Latham. J.C. Latham was a 5-star number 1 recruit coming out of high school, and he's delivered on that pedigree. So that's all that means. It's not the end-all, be-all. It's just sort of how I feel about it. All right, let's see here. I didn't see Abdul Carter play. Got rocked and couldn't own up to it. I'm glad we don't have him. I'm not saying they should have taken Abdul Carter, by the way, but there you go. All right, any other positions you're looking to watch this week in practice now that we got the last 3?
I don't know if we covered corner. Daryl Baker was bad in Atlanta during the practice week. Dropped a pick today. I think his arrow is down, and he's a concern right now.
Agree.
Marcus Harris is playing well. They could be 2 ships passing in the night in terms of starting position even. Snead could make all that irrelevant, not irrelevant, but reduce it to a depth question.
Yeah.
And you'd much rather Daryl Baker and Marcus Harris be your 3rd and 4th outside guy in some order than in your starting lineup.
Harris has a pretty calm demeanor about himself as well. He seems pretty pretty mature in that sense. Any surprise that Oli Udo was the first tackle to come in after Moore went down for a few plays? By the way, Dan Moore looked totally fine today. So
yeah, I don't think that's a big flashing signal or anything. I think they know less about Udo in game situations than they know, obviously, about the 2 returning guys in Duncan and Ojukwu.
Yeah, there you go. All right. How about are we done with Titans? Go to Sinkers Beverages, Shotgun Ways Barbecue. I think we're done with the Titans. You want to talk EPL soccer?
I'm done. Yeah, bad draw for my boys on opening day.
Was it 0-0 against Palace? Is that right?
Yep. Disappointing. Okay. Fell asleep at the end. I was watching it in the afternoon. Very tiring time for me. I'm doing a lot of work at night. On my second gig.
I hear you. We should collectively not mention Snead until he practices. There you go, Jabari.
I mean, that's all we're saying, pretty much. I mean, we have to mention him because he's an X factor.
He could be. And again, I'm not trying to end this on like a negative note here. I just think it's smart to come at this season with proper expectations. That you can do both things. You can be very excited about Cam Ward. You can be excited about some stability, which I think is actually what the organization is going for with Callahan, the coaching staff, the front office. You can be excited about some of the rookies, maybe even excited about the offensive line finally being fixed. Like, you can be excited about some things and that the trajectory and the direction is all proper. I think basing that in and grounding that in a win-loss record that is reasonable, I think is smart. I think I've got a fan who tells me, he's like, man, are we going to get to 5 wins? Because if we get to 5, I'm happy. I'm like, I think they're better than that, but not by much.
Let's go here. I wrote about this, and I put a poll with it. Fans came back, 87% on one side of this. I wonder where you are, though. I think it is a difficult decision to be made. I think it's more difficult than people want to realize, particularly at edge rusher. If the Titans are in a crucial 3rd down in Denver against Los Angeles, against the Colts, early this season for sure, but maybe it's going to go longer than that. And they got to choose the edge rushers they want on the field. How do you choose Femi Oladejo right now, given that Draymond Jones, no stud rusher by any means, Arden Key are more likely to get to the quarterback for you in the moment. Just let's call it a straight up, this is not a schemed up thing or a package designed for the game or a special Femi package or anything like that. But if Ben Bloom, the outside linebackers coach, and Denard Wilson need their best chance to get to the quarterback on this big snap in this big game, all of them being big games, particularly early in the season. But Oladejo needs experience in order to get where they've got to get him. How do you sort through that? And I asked Brian Callahan this without names on it. He kind of said, we got to do both. We got to develop the young guys, but we got to find opportunities for our veterans. Well, doing both is kind of splitting the baby, and you kind of then going half and half, right? So Femi gets half developed, and you get half the snaps with your better, quote unquote, better guys on the field. I think the Titans are in a difficult spot there, and maybe with Isle Manor, and maybe with DK, and maybe on occasion with Helm, and maybe on occasion with Harris, and with a lot of these young guys.
I think the good news in this conundrum, in my opinion, is that they have a lot of options at positions that normally you need options, right? Like at receiver, you can still, on third and most third downs, hey, you want Lockett in there at slot. Well, you can also, like, there's going to be moments where DK is going to be the one ready to go and he's going to play or whatever. Same thing with pass rush. Also, I think that they're in an unusual situation that if the season is starting to go in a bad direction or they're out of a game even, they can go case by case and say, all right, we're down by 3 touchdowns. We're going to give Femi a bunch of reps here. Or, hey, we're 2-7. We're letting the kids play here. We got to get them some reps, and we know. I think a lot of that hinges on the relationship and communication and message from the front office to the head coach in private.
Yeah, well,
if
I agree with you. If they say, we want to see the kids, and you're not on the hook for the result of that snap not going well, that's fine. But still, Brian Callahan hearing that from even all the way up to Burke Nihill, but hearing it from Chad Brinker and hearing it from Mike Borgonzi is not hearing it from Amy Adams Strunk. And Amy Adams Strunk is the one who ultimately is going to decide. And she may be saying all the right things about patience, but in the moment at the end of the season or at a bad moment in the middle or 3/4 of the way through the season with people whispering or hammering to her that Callahan is effing this up and Callahan has got to go and everything. Yeah. She's the one who has pulled the cord out of the wall on some people. And so can you trust that?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think it will be very case by case. I think you can do both, which I know why you think that's splitting the baby, but I think you can do both, which is to let and I think, what is this, Josh? You said in the first quarter of the season, you ride with the vets and then shift to the kids as the season progresses. It is a slow shift. It's where the times are. And again, there's also a balance with a young player of put him in a situation that's going to build confidence versus put him in a situation where they're challenged by adversity. Those are two different things. And certain players need one form of experience and certain players need the other. So there's a like pass rusher and receiver though, in particular, you do rotate a lot. Safety, corner, you can rotate a lot. So I think they are in a situation to sort of get those guys' feet wet as the season goes along. I just don't know how many meaningful snaps they're playing after middle of November, in which case you can, I think, allow
then
a
you
lot
pour
of
on the youth. Yeah. But still, even in those, you can't call the first quarter of any game not meaningful to me until, December.
That's fair. No, I tend to agree. So, all right, paulkuharsky.com, Sinkers Beverages, Shotgun Willie's Barbecue, all those great places to go hang out. And you could read paulkuharsky.com while eating lunch at Sinkers Beverages, and then go home and make sure you refresh and read some more while you're having a cocktail. So, all right, there you go. Anything else?
That's it.
Nick and I will recap all the week of practice. We'll preview the Vikings game coming up on Thursday as well. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for joining the show. We do appreciate it. Please tell somebody about the product. We are here all season, me and PK and Nick Suss, covering the Tennessee Titans all season long. It's going to be another interesting year. So we'll call it that. For PK, I'm Braden Gall. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. We'll talk to you next time.